Thank you.
All right. So,
All right. It's Sunday. Happy Sunday. And welcome back to another episode of this Thing of Ours podcast.
where we talk about all of life's highs and lows.
And everything in between. If you have subscribed and you've watched our previous videos, you will know that we are no longer on our chair, on our sofa.
Yep.
Yes, we finally got rid of those sofas and we are on the hunt for a new sofa, but we'll talk about that in another podcast episode because that alone is stressful. But so for right now, we're just sitting on our dining table chairs.
Yep.
Furniture shopping. I love furniture shopping. I think that there's two types of shopping I really do enjoy. Furniture shopping and also grocery shopping. Going to Costco is my favorite grocery store. But anyways, how have you guys been? I hope you guys are doing well. And thank you for tuning into this week's episode and always returning. And if this is your first time tuning into this podcast, thank you very much for listening. And don't forget to subscribe. But anyways, does your phone give you like different articles to read from Google?
When I open up Google, yeah, there's random articles. I think that's just a Google thing in general.
Okay. Well, one of the articles I actually did read this week was something called quiet quitting.
Mm-hmm.
And I had no idea what quiet quitting is or was at the time, but it caught my attention because I was curious to know like what's happening. And right now we've been noticing that there's a lot of places that are looking to hire. There's a lot of shortages of workers. Mm-hmm. And it's interesting to see, you know, kind of what is happening.
Mm-hmm. But see, it's very weird that they say there's a shortage of workers, but the unemployment rate is so low. Like the unemployment rate is actually fairly low right now. Yes. It's not, it could be lower potentially,
Mm-hmm.
but it's not the numbers we were seeing at the peak of COVID, right? When everyone actually got laid off. So lots of people are back to work, but for some reason, employers are still looking to hire.
Do you think it has to do with like the baby boomers ready to retire? Like, I feel like COVID really was like, all right, I'm done. Okay, it's time for me to retire now. Now that I'm at that age, I can retire. Yeah. Because it's weird because I remember, you know, back in the day when I was looking for like a career to go into, I remember I was on Career Cruising. It's a website where you can look at different careers and like how to get to that career that you want. So it'll tell you like how much education you need and, you know, different schools that offer that specific program. So I think it was a really good program. It's called Career Cruising if anyone is interested in
I've
that.
never heard of that. I didn't even know you were using that.
Yeah, I was actually. I got it when I was in high school.
Oh, okay. So that was before you met me.
Yeah, it was way before I met you. It was when I was in high school. The guidance counselor actually came into, obviously, the seniors class. Grade 11 is when we graduate. And he showed us this website. And he's like, whatever program you're interested in, you know, this is great for you guys. And it will show you all schools all across Canada. I think even in the States, too, that will show you like what to offer, what they offer, and also like how to get to that thing, and if you need university degrees or if you don't need a university degree. I think it was a really good website, so you guys should check that out. It's not sponsored, by the way. Hashtag not sponsored. It would say like how much in demand this career is. So like, what is there a demand for dental hygienists, nurses? There's always a demand for nurses. But shocking to see now how many careers are high in demand, how many people are looking to hire a bunch of workers now right out of high school, right out of college, or whatever degree you need if you don't need a degree. Mm-hmm. And like, do you remember at one point there was like a struggle to get a job in a career that you wanted because they'd be like, oh, we want 5-10 years experience. Mm-hmm. Now it's like, we're hiring, we're willing to train.
Yeah. Just before COVID, actually, I remember looking at different jobs for stuff that we went to school for. And it was like, oh, you need your degree plus 3 years, 5 years experience. and they would not hire you. Like you wouldn't even get calls back, even though you had the degree, you had good grades, you had all that stuff.
Yeah.
But if you didn't physically have the experience, they did not care.
Yeah.
They were waiting because they could wait for someone that had the experience that they didn't have to train. Now I think it's shifted quite a bit to where, yeah, all they care about, do you have the training? Did you go to school? Do you have the certificates?
Or are you willing to learn now?
Yeah. Yeah. And they're willing to actually train people because they need the staff.
Yes.
Right. So I think it kind of benefited younger workers, like entry-level positions in that sense, where now they have a better chance of actually entering the workforce and getting a job in the career that they chose.
Yeah, if you guys can hear me slurping, I am drinking my ginger tea. I don't know the brand of this one actually, but it's very good. What are you drinking? Because you made our teas.
This is a green tea, matcha tea.
That?
I don't know. It's a green tea, matcha tea. And it's got grapefruit in it. It's by Tazo.
Yeah, I like Tazo. Tazo has good teas. But anyways, about the quiet quitting. If you don't know what quiet quitting is, Curtis is going to Google it for us.
Okay, so this is based off Wikipedia, their definition of quiet quitting.
Okay.
So quiet quitting is an application of work to rule in which employees work within defined work hours and engage solely in activities within those hours. Despite the name, the philosophy of quiet quitting is not necessarily connected to quitting a job outright, but rather doing precisely what the job requires.
I don't know why they would call it quiet quitting and just not name it bare minimum. Because when I heard quiet quitting was basically saying, oh, I'm going on vacation and not coming back.
Yeah.
Or not telling them you're not coming back, but just going on vacation and then ghosting you're the company you're working for. That's what I thought quiet quitting is. Because that kind of makes sense to me. If it has nothing to do with quitting, shouldn't we just call it bare minimum?
Yeah. No, and I kind of agree with that. It sounds like someone, like you said, either just taking vacation and just not coming back, or just quietly, without telling anybody at work that they're looking for another job, that they're unhappy at the position they're in, and just quietly one day being like, hey, yeah, so I'm out. And just out of nowhere, they just up and leave, right? I feel like that's what it kind of sounds like. But after you mentioned it the other day, I did look into it a little bit. And so it actually went viral on TikTok. I don't know if you knew that.
No, I didn't.
So there was one guy on TikTok that like dubbed it quiet quitting, right? He was the one who kind of gave it that name. Apparently, people have been doing this all over the world, and it's called different things in different countries. So let us know where you guys are, what you guys call this term or this action of quietly quitting. But yeah, basically what he was saying is that you're not necessarily quitting the job. You're quietly quitting putting in extra effort. You're quietly quitting staying late. You're quietly quitting doing those extra tasks that they aren't paying you to do. Right?
Yeah.
So you're quitting those job duties that you took on that you're not necessarily getting paid for.
Okay.
So that's why he dubbed it quiet quitting.
Okay. See, now that I can agree with that statement. See, I took it the wrong way, I guess, as soon as I heard it. I feel like it could be named something else. Like I said, the bare minimum, but because that's what it kind of sounds like to me, doing the bare minimum. And tell you the truth, I can somewhat agree with that statement of not wanting to put in extra work that you feel like you're not getting paid enough for. And, you know, it's hard to say I agree with it. And it's also hard to say I don't agree with it, because I feel like when you first start, it's almost like you want to prove yourself, you know, that you can do all these things in hopes that in the end, maybe after your probation or, you know, within the year, by next year, they see that you're worth, you know, being paid more. So you want to put in those those extra efforts and work hard towards showing that you can do it, that you are valuable.
And that's what everyone says. It's like, work hard and eventually you'll get a raise and they'll see value in you and you'll move up the corporate ladder, as they say, right?
But then there's also some companies that will take advantage of that side of you, and I hate to say it, but there's a lot of companies that would do it,
And I feel like, sorry,
no, it's okay.
I feel like it's actually gotten worse after COVID because COVID hurt a lot of companies, right? And now they're behind and they didn't make as much profit in the past couple of years. So now they aren't trying to give any raises. They're just allowing employees to do that extra work.
Yeah.
And they don't even have the amount of staff that they used to have, right? So after everybody got laid off, yes, they brought back some people, but they probably didn't bring back the same amount of people.
Yeah.
So now the people that are working there, they have extra job duties that used to be taken on by someone else, right? Sorry, what were you saying? Don't remember.
I don't remember. I don't understand why this always happens to me. As soon as you get cut off or as soon as you're about to say something and they say, oh, sorry, what did you say? Or what were you going to say? And you forget. Let me know if that happens to you. It happens to me all the time. It's almost like I have to get it out right that instant or else I'm not going to remember.
You start listening to what I was saying and then it's gone.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I feel like it does happen quite often.
I'm here trying to think what was I saying? Because I really don't remember.
But
do you think, though, it will be a good thing that people are starting to realize that some companies aren't willing to pay what they should be paying?
There's good sides and there's bad sides to it. Like the good sides, let's talk about that. As an employee, yes, it'll give you better mental health that you're not stressing as much about work. You're not taking on extra job duties that you don't necessarily need to. So it'll give you, like, if you're not staying late too, it'll give you more of a family life or a life outside of work.
Yeah.
Right. So it'll give you those little things. But from a, well, no, I don't want to say but. What other good things are there?
I don't know, but I was thinking, I hope my boss don't see us in the lunch.
So what other good things are there? What do you see as good?
From coming from this quiet quitting thing?
Yeah.
I think companies will finally realize that maybe they should hire more or start paying more. They need to do one or the other, you know? And I personally think that the way life is going, because things are getting more expensive, and we always talk about that, they should start paying their employees more than just the minimum wage. And I think that because we see a lot of for hire signs around here. And I feel like if they want people to come on board on their company, they have to offer more than the bare minimum. It's just what it is. People, I feel like our generation is different from our parents' generation. Our parents work really hard for everything they have. You know, they work the long hours, and it's not like today. You know, people are getting paid from YouTube. People are getting paid from their own jobs, from their own side hustles now. People are, you know, living their, I want to say quotation, best life without actually having to go into work and work for somebody else. You know, I feel like our generation has more opportunities than the previous generation. Yeah. So
what's also different too from like our parents' generation, right? They had like good pension plans and things like that, right? Now companies, yes, they may still offer it, but they were given like full pensions. Nothing came off your paycheck, like different things like that, right?
And what do you mean nothing came off your paycheck? What do you mean?
A lot of companies pay half and half.
Oh,
so you pay for half of it, they pay for half of it.
Oh,
so I feel like the retirement plans that companies are offering now are very different from what our parents were given. So our parents, they were more likely to stay at a position longer. Very few companies actually offer it. So therefore, it's easier for us to just say, I'm out because I found a job for higher pay. You know what I mean?
I'm out.
But no, it's true.
Imagine walking in, deuces.
And you just slowly step back.
Yeah.
But no, I feel like our generation flips jobs very easily, and we're willing to just up and leave if we find something that's willing to pay us more, because we don't really get the benefits of the retirement plans or things like that. And I think everything has changed in a sense of like, well, inflation's really high right now too. That's another thing, and COVID really messed up.
But we won't touch on that because we've talked about that a lot.
But it affects us in the sense of we can't think too far ahead because we're struggling now. Yeah. So if we find another job for more money, we got to do what we got to do. We need that money now. That's another part of why people are quietly quitting. Mm-hmm. They're like, well, I'm not going to work myself to the bone if I'm not getting paid what I should be getting paid. Mm-hmm. And some people, yes, they're getting paid livable wages, but they don't want to put in the extra effort for only a livable wage.
Yes, but some people are also getting paid very good, mm-hmm. and they have a burnout. I think burnout is common in no matter what profession you're doing, whether it's YouTube or nursing, whatever healthcare professional, or even working for the government, there's such thing as burnout. Mm-hmm. And I feel like a lot of people are tired of feeling that way, or being overworked for, let's just say, the same wage, or getting cents higher every year for their wage, mm-hmm. Even though, money does add up in the end, people are tired, I think. That's what I think it is. People are very tired.
But see, the wage increases need to keep up with inflation. And that's mm-hmm. not what we've seen over the years. If you look at the amount we're getting paid now for the same job someone was getting paid for years ago, the numbers just don't add up. So in the end, we're actually making less. See, the part about
the thing is, they could also hire more people now. If people feel like, they're getting burned out and tired of doing a job for two, the company might realize that, okay, well, we're going to need to hire somebody else. Mm-hmm. But see, with that being said, I noticed that a lot of companies are just like, oh, since you don't want to do it, I'm going to find someone who will do it, mm-hmm. And they're going to hire a new person to replace you. And then that person's going to take on all that work, regardless if you want to do it or not.
If more people around the world and at the same job, let's just say, are quietly quitting, it will show employers that they don't have the say anymore, right? If, let's say, 80% of the employees are like, I'm done. I'm not doing these extra duties. I'm not staying late.
We're not promoting a strike here. No. Don't go into your work and be like, all right, we're striking. Yeah. We're not promoting I am not being held responsible for any strike that has the possibility of forming in the future. Do you think we should just ask then our employer for a raise? Just be like, okay, I need to have a meeting. I'm doing XYZ. I think I deserve to get paid more. Mm-hmm. Do you think that might solve the issue if we just ask? Like, do you think it's right of an employee to ask for a raise? Or do you think we should just wait until the employer is like, oh, I see you doing more. Let me give you some more money.
Mm-hmm. Instead of just quietly quitting, I think you almost do need to confront your boss or your manager and say, hey, like, I know you see me doing all these extra things. Like, do you not see the value in me doing these? Mm. I do just, like, I feel like I deserve more than what I'm currently getting paid.
Don't say it like that, but yes.
Yes, but there's obviously a nicer way to say it. But basically, that's like the gist of it. Yeah. Just like, you know that I'm doing all these extra tasks. Mm-hmm. Why am I still getting paid from when I first started the same amount? Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, now I've learned how to do this. I've learned how to do this, and come with facts. Don't just go and say,
bring them receipts, honey.
Exactly.
Where's those receipts?
Exactly. Like, you have to say, like, this is what I started doing. This is what I do now. Why am I still making the same amount? Mm-hmm. Like, really? And you have to confront them, because a lot of the time it may not be that they don't want to give you it or they haven't noticed. It's not in the forefront. Like, that's not their task every day. Like, they're busy themselves, right? Mm-hmm. So at the end of the day, it's not something that they're thinking about about giving you a raise, where you're right, like you said earlier, some employees or some employers will just let you do that. And they are kind of taking advantage of employees.
Thing is, as soon as you start doing more, they're going to expect more. And they're not going to expect you to do the bare minimum anymore. And now that becomes your job duties.
Yeah. And see, that kind of goes into the whole bad side of quietly quitting. Because if they notice that you're starting to do less, what was that thing you read? They're going to quietly fire you.
Oh, yes. When I read that article and that little catch line at the end, I was cracking up.
Yeah,
it's true. They will quietly fire you and they're not going to tell you. They're going to be like, well, we noticed you weren't doing this anymore. And you start slacking on your duties. And it's like those duties weren't yours to begin with, but they're going to find somebody to eventually replace you and you won't even know. So it's like you think you have the upper hand, but really truly they're watching you and they're just going to replace you eventually when they had enough. And when they find someone that can replace you.
That's willing to put in that extra work.
Oh, and they're just going to add those duties that you just performed to the new person. Like, so this is what's expected. Because now they know that the other person was doing 2 jobs for one person.
For one pay.
Yeah. Now they're going to put it onto another person and just add those duties in.
Yeah.
You know,
this
so.
is what you're getting paid for. You're willing to sign on.
Yeah.
Basically.
So you'll get quietly fired.
Yeah. Yep.
Basically, yeah.
And that's part of the thing. Like, it would be tough to quietly quit because you would seriously, it would take a long time to get down to the bare minimum without it making it noticeable that you're doing it. You would literally have to do one small thing at a time. Do this for a week or just drop this one little task for a
Chris
whole
out here giving blueprints.
But no, it's true though. Because if you just drop everything all at once, they're going to be like, what the hell happened to you? Like, they're going to sit you down in their office. Like, are you okay? Like, everything going good in your life? Like, why are you acting so different? You know, and it will be noticeable. So you literally need to take time to drop small little tasks, start coming in actually on time rather than half an hour early, stop staying late, like little things like that.
We are not promoting quietly quitting. Kurt out here had enough. Disclaimer. Number 2.
But yeah, that's one of the bad sides to it. Like if you do it, it may end up being very noticeable and there may be consequences of your actions. There very well may be. So be very careful if you are about to do this. So I personally don't recommend doing it. I do recommend actually what you just said earlier of just confronting them. A lot of the time, yes, you will probably be told no. Yeah. We can't afford to give you a raise. And that may potentially be your cue to actually quit. Yeah. Right? If they don't see your value, someone else might. Just like if they don't see your value and they find someone else, right? An employer does the same thing. If they don't see value in you for your job duties or what you're doing, and they find someone else that's willing to do the job better than you or without questions, basically, they will replace you 100%. So why is it wrong for an employee to do it? To just be like, hey, well, you don't see my value, I'm going to find it somewhere else.
Yeah. I don't think anything is wrong with wanting to leave a job that you think you're not being valued for, or, you know, you need more money. I don't see anything wrong with that at all, of wanting to leave and bettering yourself. Because if a company, like you said, if doesn't see your value, well, then, you know, you got to find somewhere that you're going to be happy and be happy with what you're doing and how you're doing it. So, yeah.
No, employers, will replace you. Like, not even a second thought in their mind if they have to.
Well, yes, because the company has to continue. That's the thing. Everyone is, I hate to say it, but we're all replaceable. Yep. You know, there's not one Buzz Lightyear out there. There's multiples. We've seen Toy Story. Come on. Yeah. Come on now. We've seen Toy Story. Yeah. So it's a matter of what you feel like you have to do. For me, I know sometimes I do the bare minimum in my own life, you know, not just at work. Sometimes I'm doing the bare minimum with what I'm doing, you know? So I feel like
expecting a lot out of your life, but doing the bare minimum. And I feel like that's the other side of the bad side of quiet quitting at work. Like, if you start doing the bare minimum, don't be expecting that raise no more.
That's true. That's true.
Don't be expecting that, because now you're literally only doing what your job description asks.
It's a sticky situation. It is. It's a sticky situation because it literally can go either way. You know, it can work out in your benefits or it cannot.
After you mentioned it, and I kind of looked into it a little bit, a lot of it was saying all the good sides of it, but there are definitely some bad sides to it, and some things you need to be cautious about if you plan on actually doing this at your work, at your job or whatever.
Yeah. See, I didn't do too much research, but when I was talking to my mom, she heard about that. So she was like, oh, I know what that is. And I was like, oh, okay. So this is, but it's not a new thing. You know, like we mentioned earlier, this doing the bare minimum at work has been a thing for years. And like I mentioned before, sometimes I'd be doing the bare minimum in my own life. So it's like, you know what I mean? So like you said, you know, you want to do the bare minimum, but want to raise. It's the same thing with my own life. You know, like sometimes I be doing the bare minimum, but yet I'm expecting to lose 20 pounds, you know, after eating a whole bag of chips. You guys get what I'm trying to say, I hope, you know? So you either quiet quitting your own life or quiet quitting a job. Somewhere we're all doing the bare minimum at some point of our lives. But, so, you know, that quietly quitting can be not just at jobs. I feel like it could be anywhere. We're wrapping this up because I feel like Chris will go on a huge rant.
I got a few other things to say.
I bet you do. All right. Well, let us know if you enjoyed this episode of This Thing of Ours podcast, and happy Sunday. Like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications so you never miss another episode of This Thing of Ours podcast.
Or you can click that link over there.
Right in front of me.
Previous videos.
Yep. And we'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.
Like a stare out of like shock, not really judgment. But obviously, because of the preconceived thoughts that society puts in us, you were always thinking that they were judging us.
Yeah.